The world is full of difficult situations, and Stoicism teaches us to frame these experiences as opportunities to learn and better ourselves. Being brave can sometimes lead to recklessness, which is why the Stoics advocate for doing nothing in excess. Above all else, the Stoics revered the act of doing the right thing. Marcus Aurelius said that justice is the source of all other virtues. The Stoics were lifelong learners who were never afraid to admit that there was more to know, or an area where they could deepen their understanding. Stoicism is about learning to live a good life by understanding how change and struggle affects you, and developing mental resilience strategies to manage and overcome them. Here are 10 quotations from ancient Stoic philosophers to remind you of what you're capable of. 1. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca. We wanted to start with this quotation because it reflects the reality that most of what we worry about is in our head. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now. Marcus Aurelius. What Marcus Aurelius means is what happens to us is not the source of our problems. It's how we choose to frame them in our own heads. That's the challenge. Situations and challenges happen and are neither good nor bad, and often we can't do much about them other than manage how we think about and react to them. If you want something good, get it from yourself. Epictetus. This is a version of the adage, be the change you want to see in the world. If you catch yourself complaining about something, reflect on what you can do to make the situation better for yourself and others. You're the only person with the power to improve your life, so take control and accept responsibility for your thoughts and actions by not expecting anything from other people. Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace. Epictetus. Learning to roll with the punches and accept that the only thing we can control is what takes place within our own minds is one of the pillars of Stoic philosophy. Life is inevitably going to throw us curveballs and challenges as we navigate our personal and professional lives. And the key to a calm, peaceful life is learning to accept things as they come and focus only on how we react to them. It isn't the things themselves that disturb people, but the judgments that they form about them. Epictetus, similar to Marcus Aurelius' point earlier, the situations that frustrate us are not inherently negative or frustrating. It's the perspective that we apply to them that causes us to perceive them in this way. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, you might get frustrated at your situation, but traffic itself is neither good nor bad. It's your perception of the situation that makes it positive or negative. How does it help to make troubles heavier by bemoaning them? Seneca. Raise your hand if you've ever done this. Most of us are guilty of holding on to things that are bothering us and complaining about them to anyone who will listen, but the Stoics advise against voicing your thoughts when you feel stressed or upset. This doesn't mean you shouldn't look for supports and tools to build your resilience if you need them. The Stoics are specifically against wallowing in self-pity and blaming the world for bad things happening to you, and advocate taking action and reframing your thoughts instead. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Epictetus. Adding more resiliency tools to our toolkit by reading books and essays, listening to podcasts, and investing in training is important. However, as Epictetus points out, reading and discussing what you've learned is just part of the puzzle. We also need to practice what we preach and walk the talk to model positive and resilient behavior for others. Do everything as if it were the last thing you were doing in your life. Marcus Aurelius. The Stoics ask, if you died tomorrow, would you be satisfied with how you lived your last day on earth? Can you be confident that you were kind, acted with grace and compassion, and that you gave 100% to everything you did? Living by this philosophy is how the Stoics put their daily lives and the emotions that ruled them into perspective. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Epictetus. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius. Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Marcus Aurelius. Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. The only way to happiness is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Epictetus. No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have, and to cheerfully put to good use what they do have. Seneca. He who fears death will never do anything worth of a living man. Seneca. The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Epictetus. Wealth consists not in having great possessions but in having few wants. Epictetus. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Marcus Aurelius. The first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are. Marcus Aurelius. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Epictetus. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Seneca. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. You have within you right now everything you need to deal with whatever the world can throw at you. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism and CBT. There's a connection to cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, one of today's most popular therapies. Psychologist Albert Ellis, 1913-2007, founded the first type of CBT in the 1950s. He believed that people often have incorrect beliefs about situations they're in. These beliefs lead to difficulties and unhappiness. But using various methods that can be learned by anyone, these beliefs can often be challenged and seen from a different perspective. This means that difficulties and unhappiness can be avoided. Although Stoicism is centuries old, it is still completely relevant today. This is particularly true since the COVID-19 worldwide pandemic has given such uncertainty to people's lives. So the world we live in might change, but our human condition with its various emotions and feelings always stays the same. Stoic quotes for 21st century life. The three most celebrated Stoics are Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. These three men have left us with a wealth of insightful quotes. Here are some of the best for living well today. Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question. What fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Don't go on discussing what a good person should be. Just be one. Remember that very little is needed to make a happy life. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him. He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at. Caretake this moment. Immerse yourself in its particulars. Respond to this person, this challenge, this deed. Quit evasions. Stop giving yourself needless trouble. It is time to really live. to fully inhabit the situation you happen to be in now. A ship should not ride on a single anchor, nor life on a single hope. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You become what you give your attention to. No person is free who is not master of himself. Seneca. It's not because things are difficult that we dare not venture. It's because we dare not venture that they are difficult. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Hang on to your youthful enthusiasms. You'll be able to use them better when you're older. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. To wish to be well is a part of becoming well. He who is brave is free. Accept what you cannot control. One of the most common things kids say is, "That's not fair." Even before they fully comprehend what fair really means, they know they don't like it. Feeling like we got the wrong end of the stick is one of life's great frustrations. So it's an unfortunate truth that, as the expression goes, life is often not fair. When you get good at defining what's an external factor that's out of your sphere of control, you don't waste as much energy trying to fight what's unfair, and life feels markedly less stressful, says Meg Gitlin, LCSW, a psychotherapist in New York. Getting really clear on what falls into this category is life-changing. For example, during the pandemic, maybe you've felt frustrated and angry when your child has had to attend school remotely. It may totally derail your own productivity, mess up their schedule, and lead to a bunch of unpleasant or unforeseen situations. However, regardless of how unfair and inconvenient it has felt at times, there is really nothing anyone could do to change the reality. She goes on to underline that any efforts to do so likely leads to more frustration and the feeling you get when the wheels are spinning. Stoics believe that once you accept that life is going to be hard and frustrating, you can lead a more balanced life that allows us to recognize both strengths and limitations. While Stoicism encourages you to let go of what you cannot control, it's anything but a laissez-faire philosophy. Instead, it encourages you to focus on the flip side, namely on the things you can control, and approach them with rational thought and activism. For example, if you know that you grew up with limited parents who were unable to be there for you emotionally, you may logically realize that you'll need additional layers of support when the time comes for you to be a parent yourself, Gitlin says. Perhaps this means you read more or seek out professional guidance to support you as you create attachments with your child. Or maybe it means believing in your own intuition when it comes to parenting. By accepting that you cannot change your own childhood, you also are defining what you can and would like to change, which is your relationship with your own child and ability to form a healthy and secure attachment with them. The idea with this tactic, according to Gitlin, is that when you recognize the things you can change and are strategic in how you do it, it's more likely you'll feel satisfied and less stressed overall. Stoics were skeptical of things being all good or all bad. When you strive to be goodish, you are breaking out of this kind of black and white thinking, says Gitlin. This creates space for a more helpful, balanced voice. When you speak to yourself in this way, you feel less stressed because the stakes for everything are lower. You recognize that you can make mistakes and still be a good person, and alternatively, be good at one thing and need improvement in others. This makes sense in theory, but can be tough to put into practice. How often have you been given many compliments along with one criticism, and all you can do is focus on that one criticism? Not allowing one side to overshadow the other is an important practice for healthy human development. When something is solely good, you risk shattering your carefully constructed sense of self when you are criticized or fall short. When something is only bad, you risk missing out on parts of life and may feel less inspired or confident to pursue change or worthy goals, says Gitlin. Perception isn't always reality. This principle of Stoicism asks us to challenge whether or not what we're thinking is actually a reflection of reality. We tell ourselves a lot of things in the course of a day, many of which aren't true or helpful, says Gitlin. This can sound like, "I'll never meet someone," or "I did a terrible job at my meeting and now my team hates me." When we accept these thoughts as truth, we limit ourselves and feel stressed and unhappy. How do we challenge these thoughts? Gitlin suggests reframing and asking questions like, "How true is this from 0 to 100? Or, what would I tell a good friend if they told me this?" The idea is to look for faults in your own argument. Once you treat the thought, e.g., "I'm not good enough," as a question, as opposed to a truth, it often becomes clear that they're founded in emotion and not logic. Stoicism encourages turning words into work. Perhaps this is in the form of journaling that fosters reflection then action, or even an active to-do list, says Gitlin. As a therapist, I always encourage clients to take notes, because studies support that it encourages them to remember and make meaningful change. Getting into the habit of writing anything down that feels meaningful, centering, inspiring, or helpful will push you to actualize these thoughts. Gitlin also notes that the act of writing things down fosters a connection with our inner voice and can help us clarify what we really want in life. This kind of intentional living aligns us with our values, which promotes inner happiness. While Stoicism encourages you to let go of what you cannot control, it's anything but a laissez-faire philosophy. Instead, it encourages you to focus on the flip side, namely on the things you can control, and approach them with rational thought and activism. For example, if you know that you grew up with limited parents who were unable to be there for you emotionally, you may logically realize that you'll need additional layers of support when the time comes for you to be a parent yourself, Gitlin says. Perhaps this means you read more or seek out professional guidance to support you as you create attachments with your child. Or maybe it means believing in your own intuition when it comes to parenting. By accepting that you cannot change your own childhood, you also are defining what you can and would like to change, which is your relationship with your own child and ability to form a healthy and secure attachment with them. The idea with this tactic, according to Gitlin, is that when you recognize the things you can change and are strategic in how you do it, it's more likely you'll feel satisfied and less